Welcome to 301 Banter, a show having conversations with the finest athletes across Minnesota. We delve into the trials and tribulations of the athletes, coaches, and broadcasters that make the sports world in Minnesota tick. So whether you're a diehard sports fan or just curious to learn about different people, join us for discussions and behind-the-scenes glimpses into Minnesota's vibrant sports community.
Today on the show, we are joined by one of the most decorated and clutch players to ever come out of Minnesota hockey. From lighting it up at Mound Westonka, where she racked up an incredible 234 points over 5 seasons and led her team to 2 state tournament appearances, to becoming a national champion and a captain at the Ohio State University, Liz Schepers has always delivered on and off the ice. She posted 137 points and a staggering plus 85 in her 5 years as a Buckeye, capped off by helping bring home a national championship. Now she's entering her 3rd season in the PWHL. Schepers continues to shine on the biggest stage in women's hockey, finding the back of the net in overtime of Game 4 to clinch the 2025 Walter Cup for the Frost, and scoring the eventual game winner in the 2024 title game. Just call her Miss Clutch. We talk about her journey through high school, college, and now the pros, her mindset in those moments, and what's next for her in her first PWHL season away from the state of hockey. Liz Schepers joins 301 Banter right now. Liz Schepers, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Let's start back at the beginning. You grew up playing hockey in Mound. What initially drew you to the sport of hockey in the first place?
Yeah, so big hockey family, fortunately. I feel like that's a lot of us in Minnesota. So my grandpa played, coached, worked in the NHL his whole life. So that's just always been a huge part of my family's life. So it's kind of natural for me to get into it. And then from there, I feel like my parents let me kind of drive the ship there on if I wanted to keep doing it, how far I wanted to take it. But no, just instantly, fell in love with the game and being a part of a team, and I've been really fortunate with where hockey has taken me in my life.
Speaking of Mound, you played varsity hockey for Mound Westonka, co-opted with a couple other schools throughout your time there. What moments from those years at Mound stand out to you the most?
Yeah, I had a great experience. I went all the way up through the youth programs until I graduated high school playing for Mound and the Westonka program. We had some really successful teams, and I think when you're a smaller public school, you definitely don't take those for granted. Winning a couple section championships and playing in the state tournament are some of my greatest hockey memories. And along with conference success as well. I think just the way specifically my class and the couple classes around us were able to stick together and create something really special, even though a lot of us had different goals with hockey. For some girls, it's just one of 3 sports they play, and it's hockey season, and then they move on after. Or some of us that are looking to take it a little bit further. I think being able to come together and have success during those seasons is something that was unique to us, and something I'm really proud of.
Yeah, you were able to make it to the XL Energy Center, before you eventually called the X home with the Frost. Can you tell us more about how it felt to have that come full circle later in your career?
Yeah, it was really really special. Playing in the state tournament is every kid from Minnesota's dream. I feel like it's heard about all over the country. Every teammate that I've had that's not from Minnesota always asks about the state tournament and the tourney and everything that goes around with it. So obviously a massive point early in my career was to get to the state tournament, and then to come back and represent Minnesota with the Frost, and for that to be our home rink, it was really full circle, like you said. It's where that's where you want to be. It's an awesome building. The fans are amazing, and yeah, I've been really lucky to play quite a few games there now.
How did the Minnesota high school hockey shape how you are as a player, competitor, teammate throughout your entire career post high school?
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota high school hockey is such a unique thing. I think we all take so much pride in it in our schools, in our communities, and just the level of play for it to be like, kind of grassroots, like community based is really special and really unique to Minnesota. Um, and so that's something that I always took a lot of pride in, and into college. Again, people always asking me what it's like here, and it's obviously served me really well. I think it gives a lot of unique leadership opportunities too that maybe I didn't realize it then, but reflecting on it now, has definitely shaped a huge part of who I am and how I, am as a teammate. Um, and then yeah, as a player too, again, getting those opportunities to play in a bunch of different situations with players, with a ton of different backgrounds, has just given me, a lot of tools at my disposal.
Yeah. So then, taking that next step after um, high school, you went to, as a lot of Buckeyes say it, the Ohio State University.
Yeah.
What made you choose Columbus and Ohio State?
Mhm. Yeah, well, absolutely loved my time at Ohio State. I'm still, my teammates from Ohio State are still my closest friends, and we talk all the time, and have so many great memories together. What I loved about Ohio State was the school, like, passion and pride. Like, when you go to Columbus, like, who's in town.
Yeah.
There's Ohio State stuff everywhere. Alumni absolutely love the school and are very proud to represent the Buckeyes, and that was something that immediately caught my attention and something that I felt like I wanted to be a part of. From the hockey standpoint, now it's, they're in the national championship every single year, but when I was committing, we were below 500, like really trying to put ourselves on the map and make a name for the team, and be competitive. And so feel like I was a part of a really pivotal point, along with Coach Muzz, who's really taken the reins there and, has them running like a well-oiled machine. But I was fortunate to come into the program at like a really pivotal point and see the growth and finish with a championship.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of that championship, I don't know if you can tell over there. I am a bit of a UMD fan, so that game broke my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
What was that again experience like? What was the best parts, maybe challenging parts too of winning a national championship?
Yeah. It really felt like, well, especially for me, like it was a 5-year process. Like we were on the climb, since my freshman year, trying to put the pieces together and get ourselves to be legitimate contenders. Was a part of a lot of really great teams before that, and then going into my 5th year, that I got because of all the COVID stuff. We really felt in the preseason that we were, putting the pieces in place to make a run. And on paper, we looked really great, but then the challenge was executing it and believing in each other and embracing whatever role you're taking on, and knowing that at the end of the day, like we could very well, walk away with a championship. And that never wavered throughout every high and low of the season. We always believed that we had a chance to win it all when it mattered the most, and we were able to get it done.
Whenever the minus this last year, whenever the football team lost, my brother goes to Ohio State, so I always remind him, hey, women's hockey school.
Yeah.
Women's hockey school.
Yeah, football pulled their weight this year, so I'll give them that.
Yeah, so I guess both.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then after Ohio State, you were taken in the inaugural PWHL draft by the Frost, then the PWHL Minnesota. But yeah, selected by your home state team, and can you take us back to that day where you found out you were drafted, and what kind of thoughts and emotions were going through your head at that time?
Yeah. Well, it was a long day for me. I wasn't taken until late in the draft, which, as hey, to hear your name called at any time is like a huge honor, and especially to come to Minnesota. So prior to the PWHL, I spent the season with the Whitecaps. So really like getting back involved in Minnesota, Very happy to be home and closer to family after being in Columbus for most of the last 5 years before that. So it was awesome to be able to stay here. Know I was going to play in front of friends and family every single home game. So it was a huge honor, a huge relief. My family was pumped. And yeah, it was the start of a great 2 seasons here.
Also, then growing up in Minnesota, how much would it have like helped you and some of the other of your other teammates to have a women's pro team that's just have a pro team, much less one that's been this good over the last couple of years?
Like when we were growing up.
Yeah, when you were growing up.
Yeah, the Whitecaps were obviously a huge influence on all of us. There wasn't, the league like we have it now, obviously. So, yeah, it would have meant a lot. Those were still players and people that we all look up to, but to see girls and boys in the stands every night, knowing that they can aspire to be where we are and they have a legitimate pro team and league to aspire to it's really cool. I'm excited to see, in 10, 15 years, all the stories that the then current players are going to have. I think that's when we're really going to feel the impact of that.
Yeah, hopefully they can have some memories of the the first 2 Walter Cups.
Yeah, yes.
Speaking of the Walter Cup and the playoffs, you have developed a bit of a reputation for scoring clutch goals in the playoffs. The overtime winner to actually win the cup this year, and then the eventual game winning goal in last year's clinching game. What is your mindset like in those big moments, and do you have to prepare any differently for the high pressure situations?
It takes everybody to get to those moments. Like, yeah, like I am pumped to have scored that goal, but that whole series was such a grind, and we were just looking for anybody to finish it off. But I get a ton of confidence from my teammates and from being in those situations. So when your teammates are believing in you, when you're on the ice, you're in those opportunities, like you have to also trust yourself and believe that you can perform in those moments. And I think that's something that college prepared me really well for. I've been really lucky to play in a ton of big games and, know how to handle those moments from a mental standpoint. And, I was able to deliver.
Yeah. So this offseason, you signed a 2-year deal with the Boston Fleet. How do you see yourself fitting into that lineup this upcoming season?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think I pride myself on being someone that can really play anywhere. I'm a smart enough player to learn on the fly and figure it out as I go too if things need to change. So again, just whatever they need me to do, I'm willing to do, and that's kind of been my whole career at this point. So I hope that's a valuable thing that I bring to the table. But yeah, looking to definitely contribute more offensively and get that going for sure. And yeah, again, continue to be reliable in every zone.
Yeah, I think in any pro sport, versatility and reliability are 2 massive factors into what makes the great players great. And
For sure.
do you have any advice for the young hockey players that are maybe can see themselves playing after high school?
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that I kind of had to learn as I go was to not focus on what you think should happen or what other people's routes are to college, to the pros. At the end of the day, like we're all running our own race and we're going to get where we need to go when we need to be there kind of thing. I think that's something that served me really well in the college recruiting process. Back when I was in high school, girls were committing in 8th, 9th grade. I didn't know where I was going until the fall of my senior year. So it was a lot to kind of try to block out and stay focused. But at the end of the day, like I ended up in the place I was supposed to, and I'm really proud of the college career I had. And then it obviously set me up well here in the pros. But definitely just focus on enjoying it, and don't get too caught up with what everybody else is doing.
Final question for you here today. You think back over the course of your entire hockey career from Mound to Columbus, Minnesota, and now going out east to Boston. Who do you think has had the biggest impact on your career?
Yeah, well, of course, my family has. Like, they have, supported me every step of the way, have supported me leaving home for extended periods of time, and their support has never wavered. So I'm really fortunate for that, and to always have felt their support no matter how far away from home I am. And then also my college coach, Muzz, is a huge reason why I've had these opportunities and why I've had the success I've had. The way she runs her program and the impact she's had on me as a leader and a player is something I think about all the time.
Yeah. Well, Liz, thank you for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure having you on. Good luck next season, except for maybe when you come back here to
That's fair.
Minnesota.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. We'll see if can get you on again maybe during the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Big thanks to Liz Schepers, Minnesota native, national and Walter Cup champion, and now a proud member of the Boston Fleet. We're excited to see what's next for her in Boston. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Comment who you want to see next on 301 Banter, and we'll see you next time. Peace.